A few months ago, I was listening to a woman at a financial talk, and she said something that completely shifted how I look at and value my focus and time. She raised up her phone in her hand and said, "You can't build the life that you want when you spend hours scrolling away on an algorithm because you're quietly and faithfully funding someone else's dream and lifestyle instead of your own." And it hit me. I was treating my phone like a friend when it was actually a fortified wall between me and the person I'm becoming. So I want to walk you through a quick how-to life reset that I personally did, including the specific timer strategy that I use that helped me reclaim both my mornings and evenings back. So one of the key realizations that I'd gotten or took away from this talk was that social media had commoditized my attention. And in commoditizing my attention, then they were taking away my creative capital, or I was giving them my creative capital. Let me not say take away. I was giving them my creative capital with each scroll. So I didn't go home and just delete all the apps. I really wanted to be in control of the situation. And I had to be honest with myself. There's no way I would sit there, like my view of the apps changed. So it wasn't just something that I looked for on my phone and clicked. I consciously started asking myself, if the value of every click, the value of every scroll is so valuable, is so priceless, how did it get to the point where someone had trained my mind, someone who I've never met, someone who is a billionaire off of doing these things and studying human psychology and all that? Why was I part of a statistic that, from where I am, the continent where I am and where they are, they managed to successfully ensure that if maybe I wake up, I'm clicked on. If I'm going to bed, I'm like, let me just do 30 minutes, and 30 minutes becomes 3 hours, becomes 5 hours. Beyond how they were able to do that was me coming to the realization that my attention, my focus, my creative ability was being given to someone else by me, and that needed to stop. So the life reset for me from this particular perspective was that my mind had changed or had been rewired back to realize exactly what was happening every time I log onto these social media apps. I wanted to have sovereign autonomy. I wanted to have autonomy over my, focus, over my attention, and being the one in charge of that instead of giving that over to somebody every time I logged into their app. So again, mini transactions every time I scrolled, every time I swiped. Who was I giving my attention to? Why was I giving them that attention? And how long was I giving them that attention for? So the next natural step for me was then a high value replacement. See, what I'm trying to achieve with this video is to help you realize that just going cold turkey and, deleting all the apps could work for some people, but it might not work for everyone, might not be currently realistic, depending on how much the social media apps on your phone have been, how much you have integrated these social media apps into your everyday life. So high value replacement required me to switch the time I was using on these apps to exchanging that with high value activities. And by high value activities, I could go off and say, dive into some deep work as soon as you get up, go for a run for like 5 kilometers and do all that. But it's you sitting down and assessing and asking yourself, when you get up in the morning, to reclaim back your mornings, what is it that you could do in place of picking up your phone? And when you do that, you're mentally being engaged in the process of exchanging the time that you are spending on those apps with activities that you enjoy. Another thing that was so key for me throughout this whole journey, I was going to say video, was recognizing how it had come to a point where I had social media content from every app to fill in the times where I was supposed to be bored, the times where I was not doing anything, the times where I was supposed to be sitting with myself and thinking, assessing my day, planning, visualizing, just being there with my thoughts. I had managed to fill each and every time slot with a specific app. So what I found was that maybe I'd use Instagram at a specific time, but what am I doing? I'm on Reels and I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh, I've curated my algorithm, so I'll have like 5 laughs of this particular topic and things like that. But for how long and at what cost? Now, the natural result of that was, instead of me waiting for a notification, when I got them, I have slotted times when I address those notifications. Shout out to my sister who says I never answer her DMs, inbox, whatever. Hi sis. So the reason I did that was that if this particular time slot was scheduled for meditation or just thinking and sitting with myself, then I wouldn't use it to pull down my notifications and then, click and start answering. Once I've responded to the messages, then I'm already back on Reels, or if it's TikTok, whatever the case may be. I have now high value replacements for each time slot that I'd allocated to a specific social media app. An analog anchor, like I said, could be something as simple as watching the sunrise or sitting at your balcony and watching the sunset. It could be going for a stroll, going for a walk. It could be baking a cake, making cookies, whatever the case may be for you. Figure out what those analog anchors are, as did I, and I'm still doing. It's a continuous process, but for me, I wholeheartedly believe that's so much better than just going through your phone and deleting everything, which if you can, yay for you. I really mean that. But I'm trying to bring a realistic approach to these things so that they become habits that you have that are leading you to the dream life that you're trying to build. So my last point from this whole experience was the specific timing strategy that I used. And when you look at the layers I've built in terms of coming to that mental awareness and then being able to exchange the time slots that I put in for social media with different activities or not doing anything at all, the next thing I naturally added on was timers, which in essence are actually just boundaries. So I started with physical timers, which would be my phone, using the timers on each social media app and ensuring that I stick to those timers as much as I can. The reason now I'm switching to present tense is because there's some days I don't. Some days, like on Instagram, I'll click away, like ignore limit for now. But the next best thing that came out of that, which I recognized and realized recently, was that I started to have mental timers. I'm consciously repeating and asking and reinforcing to myself, is this a good point to end? Yes, this is a good point to end this scroll. I've enjoyed what I laughed, blah, blah, blah. I learned this from one scroll. I didn't learn that. I unlearned this. The result of all this for me has been a rhythmic layered system that is happening naturally. I'm in control of the process, such that the times where I do slip up, I'm not beating myself, I'm not getting depressed, I'm not sad. I pick myself back up and get right back to it. I recognize that my attention, my focus, my attention span is so valuable and not worth being controlled by someone else. I am in charge of that, and that has given me this layered approach and multi-dimensional results that I'm experiencing currently. Without sounding like a sales pitch, I'm hoping that you'll give this a try for yourself, customize it in your own special way, in a way that's unique to you. The whole goal of this for me was not to have more time. Yes, more time is great, but is to have more of me being intentional, more of me being present in what's happening in this journey of building my dream life. And I'm experiencing that, and I hope you will too. I'll see you on the next one. This is Actualized. Bye.